How's everyone doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, good. I'm Larry Taylor, the managing partner for the Cochran firm here in Texas. Here with my clients, Bushes. And as you guys all know, we filed a lawsuit last Friday adding the AJ Security Company as one of the defendants. And so I know you guys have quite a few questions, and I'll let you guys begin with questions.
When were you hired?
We were hired roughly, I think, 48 hours after the incident.
No, I mean, when were your clients hired to work as security? That's what I mean. I'm sorry.
The morning of.
The morning of? And how did you come across them?
Social media.
Okay.
Social media, it was kind of like a social media post asking for anybody to show up.
So describe that to me. It was on Instagram or what?
It was like an Instagram post asking for anybody to show up for security. I got my security license, so I had interest in it, thinking I can, get in pretty easily. But I didn't even need the credential of a security license.
Okay, so
because they didn't ask
just a little bit.
I didn't need it because they didn't ask for it. But it was pretty much anybody show up and anybody can work.
Okay, so as far as you know, people didn't have to have some type of prerequisite background or anything like that.
No, you didn't even need citizenship, basically.
So what did they tell you your duties were?
For the most part, they told us where to stand, not to let people run in, which we tried not to, and be safe. Don't put our hands on anybody. That was more than
sufficiently trained.
I guess with a little more instructions, it could have been easily executed, but as far as the training, there was no training offered, for the particular concert of Astroworld.
And when you saw what was happening, when you saw those horrific events unfold, what did you think?
It started off, as as the fans trying to, in a rush to get in, and finished with the fans being the exhaustion showing, of how much it took, to get to that point. It wasn't pretty at all. It wasn't pretty at all.
Can you talk about what you witnessed, specifically what you witnessed? I'm sure it was people needing help, people in pain, injured.
It was a lot of distress. A lot of people, a lot of people were so into the concert they didn't want to be helped for the most part. I was trying, even before the concert started, I helped a lot of people. It was already bad before the concert started. So for the most part, yeah, I could say the people, it showed, the fans, they was already out of whack before the concert started.
Where were you placed throughout the venue, throughout the day?
Well, for the beginning, we were at the entrance of the ticketing, where they was allowing the fans to come in. Towards maybe 7:30ish, before Travis Scott himself started performing, they moved us to the concert area where we were escorting artists back and forth, celebrities back and forth, and it wasn't so much of crowd control then. It was just making sure that they don't get touched, But during that, you had no other choice but to help people. They were begging for help.
Who were you escorting in and out?
Most of the artists that performed that day, that night.
Sizzle? Was it Sizzle?
It was a few people, through the crowd, through the Travis Scott.
So when they gave you the offer for employment, did they contract you for the whole weekend, or was it just for the day?
Well, the agreement was the whole weekend, so I took off from my day-to-day job to be there. My boss granted me the days off to be there. The second day, we wasn't even notified that it was canceled until we got here and seen the big sign saying Astroworld's canceled. We were still ready to work, even though, we went through. See, by the night it was over with, I had my shoes off. My shoes were gone too, so it was a lot of.
And did they pay you for the whole weekend, or they pay you hourly, and how much did you
Well,
get
they paid us, we don't really know what they paid us, honestly, because
What did they offer you? What did they tell you?
They didn't tell us anything. We heard from the other people working with us that what they were supposed to pay us. That's the only way, that's the only thing
That's one of the things that is still in dispute right now.
Okay.
So they were initially told that they were going to be paid $30 an hour, and then it went from $30 an hour to not being paid at all, to eventually just mysteriously being paid a little of something on their cash app. And so as we go forward, as we go forward with this litigation, that's one of the things that we'll also be looking into as well. How were these subcontractors paying these individuals who were risking their lives to help out during this event?
So they didn't have to fill out W-2s or any of that stuff?
That's one of the things that is disturbing, right? These gentlemen show up, they were told to wear all black, they did exactly what they were told to do. They signed in. No ID, nothing required. They signed in on a form and went to work. And as you can see, ended up getting injured. As we were walking in, they were recognizing some of the people that they were actually trying to help during this event. And so it's been traumatic for them, and as well as other workers at this particular point.
And what's the name of the company again?
AJ Molina.
How many hours did you work total?
We worked over 16 hours that I can kind of remember exactly, because I remember we showed up. We showed up like 5:30 that morning. We didn't really get in touch with anyone until about 7:30, because we were here for about 2 hours trying to locate the company and who was in charge. So I could say from like 5:30 that morning till like 1 a.m. the next day, that night.
What did you think about the whole process? Did you think this is red flag or red flag after red flag?
I couldn't think about the red flags because it was so overwhelming of, the volume of things that was going on. I was just trying to be professional as I can. I only have my level 2. I have interest in having my level 4, which is like bodyguard security, which in particular, you need extra training for that. And I say you got to have a certain type of, mentality. And I was trying to keep that mentality of not getting starstruck around the celebrities and not, trying to enjoy the concert so much and try to actually pay attention to the fans and do the job of helping them. And it was so many people. It got to a point where so the fans couldn't, really, I didn't know who to, pay attention to for help, it was too.
How many people do you think this company hired here to work security? Did you find any colleagues?
It was I did not. Nobody I noticed from Houston, but it was a big team of us. It was a big team on the other companies. Like I said, the plan was it wasn't executed the right way.
Do you have any idea how many total number?
We don't at this point. From what we understand, there were a group of individuals who were actually brought in, and then there were those who were hired locally. But it seemed to be no communication between the different entities or the different individuals. Both Samuel and Jackson at one point were separated, and Samuel didn't even know, Jackson didn't know that Samuel ended up breaking his hand until later on that night when they finally got back together. And at the same time trying to protect others, listening to some of the stories that they've told about how they tried to attempt to help people and those they were able to help, and at the same time trying to protect each other. Samuel was trampled twice, where people just stepped on his hand and broke his hand. And so, between these two individuals who worked and other individuals that worked, there's a lot of questions to be answered.
Samuel, why don't you tell us your experience?
My nephew had got the text message or whatnot, and he told me about it. I was excited, and I wanted to be a part of it. I wanted to be a part of the, actually see the celebrities and work the event. So he sent me the email, the text message. I responded. They told us to show up in all black, and that's what we did. We showed up in all black, ready to work. We're not knowing that the event was going to turn out like it did.
Do you have a security background?
I have a security background. I worked clubs and security concerts and stuff like that before back at home.
So when things got bad, tell me what happened.
Well, when things got bad, that's when the crowds and stores started to stampede and barricade and tear stuff and just do whatever they had to do to get in. And it was just overwhelming. I was trying to help out as much as I could, and I wound up getting hurt. And they were speaking about shutting it down, but they continued on. And when I hurt my hand, they summoned to medical, and I was going to continue work as long as everybody else was working. And I wound up hurting my hand and getting trampled for the second time. And that's when they moved us around a little bit more, and things just started to get more and more out of hand, out of control.
Did they give you any advice on what maybe you should do if things got bad?
No, they didn't. They just only instructions I remember them saying was just stay safe and don't put your hands on no one. At the time of the event when they actually brought us to the stage, the performance.
Sir, can you describe when you tried to help people pull them out? You said that you couldn't.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. There was a little lady. She was a petite lady, maybe not even 5 foot, 120, maybe 30 pounds. And she was screaming and begging and crying for help, saying that she couldn't breathe and that her friend was may have been down on the ground or something. And my hand was hurting already at the time, and I just reached my shoulder to her and asked her to grab around me so I could try to lift her up and slide her out. But as much as I tried, I could not even get her. So I had to call for more help to get the young lady out of there, and I felt bad because I couldn't. They had some people come, but it just wasn't enough.
How did that make you feel?
It made me feel real bad. It made me feel less than a man that I couldn't help someone that was in need of help. And then later on, knowing that a lot of people had died.
We had helped out probably like 60, just in my section alone before I found my uncle. I put out probably like 40 to 60 people out the section I was in before Travis Scott even hit the stage. It was even before the concert started. After I pulled those 60 people out, my body was sore. I was literally sore because I had helped out guys that was bigger than me. I found my uncle and I told him, I was like, bro, I gotta get away from him over there. I can't keep in that. It was because I was hurting so much, but it was like, dang, I keep begging the fans, I'm like, can I please help you out? Can I please help you out? And they didn't want to be helped. They wanted to see Travis.
Larry, you talked about how this is obviously emotional and traumatizing for the people that had to witness this, because that is also a huge part of the lawsuit and the damages that they now have to live with.
And it is, and anyone who has ever talked to anyone who has suffered through some kind of traumatic incident, this has probably been one of the worst ones I've actually heard people who were there. For people who are just everyday individuals like many of us, to see dead faces, to see people in distraught trying to help others, and then, like they said, trying to help and not being able to help it was hurtful. And just listening to their stories time and time again for every client that has called in, it's troublesome because no one should have to see something like that.
And also, Travis Scott, not the first time that his concerts have had issues with. So that is something that you will also be looking into.
That is something that we're all looking into. I'm pretty sure many of you guys have seen the Netflix movie or documentary. And as early as 2018, 17, there were fans breaking through barricades and coming through. And so you have to ask yourself and ask the security companies, why weren't you prepared? You had basically 3 years to be prepared, and you knew the type of fans that would be coming. Things like zigzag. Why weren't the fans told to go into a zigzag function so that they couldn't just all bum rush and force down gates and overpower security? And so, at the same time, cost senseless deaths of these individuals behind us. So those are all things that we'll be taking a look at.
How were you communicating with other security and your superiors?
Half the time we couldn't even find them. So it was whoever was close to you, communicate with them. We were actually backing up another security team out of Dallas. I think it was Dallas, Texas. and they was like some of the elderly and college students, so they really wasn't some of the strongest people to help, you know, the fans out of the from behind the barricades. So for the most part, I had to be right there where I was, you know, and I couldn't. Besides my uncle, once I located him, I didn't know where nobody else was.
So they didn't give you all walkie-talkies or anything?
No walkie-talkies. No walkie-talkies.
Didn't that seem weird to you?
It all seemed weird. I was just trying to keep my professionalism intact, you know, and do the job.
Do you feel like the security teams were set up for failure ultimately? Do you feel as though you guys were just thrown?
In my conclusion, yes, I do. I feel like we was just thrown out there for, like, you know, for whatever to happen. I feel like it was planned to go that way, you know, for us not to be paid and handled, you know, professional as we worked. Yeah, I do feel like that.
Do you have a screenshot of the listing that got you this job?
We at this point, we do. You contact our office, and anything that we can provide to you at this time, we'll provide.
Okay. You think we can get that for this evening?
Contact Ryan, and we'll go from there. But I don't want to do too much prior to the early part of this litigation.
And you said that there was some amount that was given to you over the Cash App. When did that come in, and how much was it compared to what you probably were owed?
I can't even remember when I didn't even want to, you know, touch it. So I can't even remember when. It was a few days ago.
Yeah, it was most likely. I think it was last Friday, and it was probably 1/4 of what they should have received.
Last Friday, as in just a couple days ago?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Last Friday, and right around 1/4 of what they should have received.
What is typical protocol when hiring, like, I guess, freelance security like that? Is that normal? Is that a normal process?
First security job I ever had to work just at a bank. I went about fingerprint. I had to go and take the fingerprint process, the whole background check. I even had to take like the level 2 security test, and I had to pass, because if you did not pass, you did not work. And it was a little more intense than this was. Way more intense.
And I'll answer that question with a simple, you would think it would take more than just signing your name. At least an ID, at least the day before, coming through, walking through, seeing what you needed to do, so everyone knew their assignment, everyone knew each other. None of those things were done. It was as simple as you and I meeting up right now and walking on the other side of this gate, and we're supposed to secure the park. Secure what? Secure where? Secure who? None of these things were provided to these gentlemen, and it seems as if they just wanted bodies more so than to actually be able to secure.
And as far as you know, they didn't do any background checks on anybody who was working security?
As my clients have told us, they just showed up and signed their name. Now, I don't know for every security company, but as far as we know right now, people just showed up in the uniforms or dressed the way that they were asked to, and were put to work.
Can I get the spelling of both your names and ages?
Jackson Bush, Jackson Bush, both spelled traditionally. I'm 25 years old.
Samuel?
My name is Samuel Bush, Samuel Bush. I'm 46 years of age.
Thank you very much.
I'm Larry Taylor. I'm 48. L-A-R-R-Y. Thank you, guys. Give Ryan a buzz, and any of you guys who've ever worked with me before, you understand we'll get you what you need, but I want to make sure that we keep the integrity of this case and making sure that we protect our client. So, but I'm very forthcoming in making sure that you guys are taken care of. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. You guys have a blessed one.
You too.